Yeah, when we're primal, we get honest, right? Like when we just send, like you said, like sending your energy into the grass or into the ground. When we do that, right, we're vibrating beings. Like there's science behind this, right? It's important to do that. When you see the person screaming in the parking lot, I want to cheer them on, but I know that's not the moment. I'm good. I don't need to get shot. I'm all set, right? But get it
Yeah.
out, or
Welcome to Lovely Esteem. I'm Lovely, the auntie you always wanted, the sister girlfriend you didn't know you needed, honey. You got to have self love to have self esteem. And here we know that God don't make no junk. So we're going to sit down, talk about it, and see how we can fix it, baby. Let's do it. Hey guys, this is Lovely with Lovely Esteem, and welcome back to the Healing Through Conversations podcast. Today I have a wonderful guest with such a eclectic background, Miss Jean Marie Keevins. She is not only a mentor and coach, she also works in theater. She's worked behind the scenes, in front of the camera. But I think what I enjoyed about learning about her bio is how much she wants you to support yourself, but she also wants you to understand that coaching is one of those things where your coach can see a clearer path for you sometimes that you can see for yourself. And she's out here trying to create paths for everyone. She also is looking for ways for you to learn how to believe in yourself. And we don't always get to see that. So please welcome to the podcast and enjoy it. Guys, this is Lovely with Lovely Esteem, and welcome back to the Healing Through Conversations podcast. Today we have a special guest, Miss Jean Marie Keevins. Miss Keevins. So I I was interested in her bio, but for different reasons, and we'll talk about that later. But what I really loved was her emphasis on reinventing yourself and learning how to walk into your purpose, but realizing that we don't find out purpose every day. Like you're not walking around picking up coins and your purpose just shows up. Sometimes it's having good coaches, great mentors, it's having people in your life who see something special in you, or they notice something that you do every day and they bridge that gap. So that was one of the big selling points for me when I have people on the podcast. What do they have in their arsenal that can bring joy and emphasis and like kind of pinpoint the nuances of who we are as people and pull out that little gold coin that you have in your pocket that you didn't know you had all these years. So thank you to the podcast, Jean. I really appreciate you being here. Please introduce yourself.
thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to hear you state your purpose in that way. It's really enlightening and also delightful to have been considered in that description. Thank you. My name is Jean Marie Keevins. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. I primarily work as a coach. I have for many years worked in the world of entertainment, and in that time, from time to time, moonlit in hedge funds. So I'm very aware of corporate speak and business speak, and also the funny, strange world of entertainment. So I love working with clients from a variety of places because what excites me most is helping people create their new narrative and figuring out where they're going next. And I do, much to what you were just saying, very much feel like we are all always fishing for the next thing that's inside us. So thank you for being aware of that. And yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And I think when we were younger, I'm going to speak for me. I'm 48. I try to speak with I statements. When I was younger, I don't think that I quite appreciated coaches as much as I do now in my older years. I think when you're younger, it just looks like an adult who's telling you what to do all the time. And you don't understand that they really see something in you and they're trying to clear a lane for you so
Mm.
that you have a more steady and secure journey to go about. And I think now as I'm getting older and I'm able to comprehend what the coach is saying, because I think a lot of us try to think to ourselves, are we coachable? Like, am I the kind of person that someone can come in and see the different nuances in me, but also see the special parts of me? And I know as a coach, that's something that you kind of have to walk into and talk to people. So how do you, how do you like add yourself into someone else's world so that they understand not only are they coachable, but they already walking around with so much gold in their pockets.
Yes, what a great question. So many things just came up for me listening to you. The first thing was when you said, there are people who are trying to explain things to you, and you were talking about that. I literally just got off the phone with my college professor. And I had literally, like, when you said that, I'm like, are you in my brain? I just called him and he answered the phone. Hello, Jean Marie. Like, what are you? And nobody can get this man on the phone. So everybody asks me to call when they need him. They're like, how do you get him to call? Pick up. And I said, I just called to say I love you. I do call when I need things, and I do prank call him. I do all those things just for fun, keeping it real here. But I just called to say, I want you to know. And he was like, oh God, here we go. But um, I every day realized that my path was so different. And I
Mm.
realized that part of the reason it was so different was because you said yes. And you said yes at a time where I was lost. And I don't know why I was following that thread. I don't know. I mean, I have theories and whatever, and people can tell me why. But the reality is, I had a knowing. I
Mm.
felt it. I knew it. Somebody said something, and I was like, oh, what is that thought? And I investigated it and found this person who said, and we'll tell you he didn't, but everyone else is like, this is what was said. I don't know why she's a yes, but she is.
Mm.
Thought, I don't know why I'm here, but I am. And I think that there's a piece of that of myself that I know as a coach. When I listen to people and I see them light up, but then shut it out, I'm like, what was that? Why are we dimming your light? And there might be a very good reason. I don't
Mhm.
want to ever pretend like sometimes we have an idea and then we know I've done that. We're gonna put that right back where it was. Thank you, impulse, right? So if it's impulse control, good on you. But as a coach, I will ask,
Mhm.
right? Let's learn what that is. If you have command of it, great, we're moving on. But if I see a light in somebody that hasn't been fanned or pointed to or allowed to shine, I'm all about getting into that if they are, because timing is a piece of it.
Mhm.
Be ready. And if there's something in the way, let's move it and get that light shining because we all need your light. We all need your light. And so I feel so grateful to have had people say yes. And I also love, I said to him, somebody just said no to me and I told him how. And it wasn't why I called. He just asked me a question that triggered this thought. And I said, can you believe it? And he goes, if you want that, go take it.
T-shirt
And I
moment.
was like, "Thank you, sir." And then we were laughing because I was like, "I needed you to tell me that." And he goes, "Apparently you did." And we laughed, right? But he's right. If you're not taking it, maybe you don't really want it.
Mm.
Or do we need to figure out how to give you permission? Like, I just love being in that spot with somebody and helping them. So, yeah, as a coach, I do think most people are coachable. And the people who aren't, therapy is a great thing. I highly recommend it if they want it. But if not, then you don't get coached, right? You can put me on a tennis court all day long and you can coach me and I'm going to get better, but I'm not going to be a Serena. It's never happening, right? Like, so, there's a place and a time, and there are people that I will say, yeah, okay, well, maybe this isn't that moment, and that's fine.
And I love that. And I love what you said, like the timing, because in two things, the light and the timing. And I want people to understand two things. You will never accomplish what you want until you're going to have to break the ceiling, because some of us, we have these grandiose ideas. We want these wonderful things, but we see them as above us instead of in front of us, because you can walk forward, you can knock things down. But if it's above you and you don't break that ceiling, you're going to have to open yourself up to things falling on you, literally, in order for you to get there. But the time is so right. You have to be open to change. And sometimes change looks so different that your mind can't comprehend what's actually happening in front of you. You may have to change where you live. You may have to change your school. You may have to change your job. you may have to change your mind. And that, ooh, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but for me to change my mind, it takes a nap, quite a few naps to get myself together, because it's that habit of telling yourself I can't do it versus
Mhm.
I can do it, and believing the can is like, it's life changing.
Mhm. It's so funny because listening to you speak, 100% I'm with you. There's a lot of knowing that you hold, and that's quite clear, right? You've worked on that and you've sharpened those tools in your toolbox. And I'm sure that there are days that you're like, this is not sharp. We're not using that today, right? Like, sure. But you have enough to know to put that one down, right? Like, that's not the day. That's not everybody. And I think that that is also an intimidating thing when you're trying to grow and you feel like, well, I should know all the tools and I should know when there's what, why should you? Why
Right.
should you know everything? Like, I don't subscribe to that personally. Like, I'm the first one to say, I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I say, I'm sorry, my brain was just too full. It couldn't hold that.
I love that.
Sorry. It's so busy. Um, like, just give yourself permission to forget. And also, oh my gosh, look, I'm wrong. Or I really didn't know that. Right. Thank you for teaching me that. I am the queen of learning the things that everyone else in the room knows. And like you all knew that. Like they're keeping it from me or something, like, don't tell her how to use that. Like I'm shocked at the things I learn some days, but I think when we embrace the ability to say, I'm learning that, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm relearning that,
I love the relearning.
right? I thought I knew that. I definitely thought I knew that. I did not.
I love the relearning. And, I always say, when I come from a space where I had no clue.
Mm.
I mean, when I say no clue, I mean, I was trying to buy clues to get to the clue, like no clue what I wanted to be or what I wanted to become. And I really believe that I am led through spirit and ancestors. And
Mm.
I take my failures as lessons. I didn't always look at it that way. I used to be like, I'm failing. What can I do better? How can I be better? Instead of thinking to myself, this wasn't your task to take. Sometimes becoming better means that you say no thank you to that project. No thank you to that invite, because it's not for you. And that used to be a hard thing. It was the people pleasing thing that we do,
Yeah.
Yes, sure, I can be there. And then at night, you're like, what did I do today? Was anything fulfilling in my life today? And I
Yeah.
had to get to a space where I said, okay, I have to hold myself accountable for what I accept and what I don't accept, or else I'm not going to learn how to prosper at all. I'm just going to live off the next like invite. And that was like, that was
Mm-hmm.
my a lot of coachable moments for me.
That's a big one. Like getting external validation
Mm-hmm.
by being invited to the party. Maybe I don't want to be at that party. Right? Or you didn't get invited to the party, so you're not enough. Maybe you're supposed to be hosting a party. Also, maybe you don't need to be out, right? Like, what's the learning? And I think what you just said was really interesting when you brought up failing, when people feel like they're failing. I know that feeling, right? I've had it twice today, right? Sounds human to me. But also, you're not, you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
Learning. I was listening to Maya Angelou recording one day, and she was talking to Oprah, and Oprah said something about her legacy, and she was going on about her legacy. I don't know if you've ever heard this conversation. It's so good. And sometimes I replay it to remind myself, like, you don't know what your legacy is, and the truth is you won't be here for it. So
You
shut up and
would.
keep doing what you're here to do. Not her words, but what she was saying.
But the interpretation is very correct.
Right? Like, enough. This is not, and to me, what I hear is, where's your ego right now?
Mm,
Where's your ego right now? And it's
mm.
funny, two people I coached today, that was part of the conversation where they were like, I feel sorry for those people. And I was like, do you? Because they're good. They're not thinking about you at all.
Ads. Oh, not you're
Right?
not even a stand-in in the background of the movie that they are creating right now.
They're not worried about you. You have 45 minutes with me to work on something, and you want to work on them? No. Right? Tell me now what you want to do. And they're like, okay, when you're done. Right? And that's fine. That's fine. Right? And I am that coach where I will
I
tell you,
love it.
I will admit it. I am that person. You also laugh about it. Trust me. Like everybody says to me, it hurt so hard, but I laughed. Like, That's how you keep doing the work, right? For me, at least, if I can't laugh about something that hurts, I'm not going anywhere. But anyway, that point of like, why are we worried about your legacy? If you want to do something good in your community, do something good in your community. If they put your name on it, how nice. But also, who cares? Right? That's not why you did it. And to me, if you're going to lend your name something to something, it's for a reason, right?
Mhm.
More people will come then. Great, use your name. No one cares, leave it off. Focus on the doing,
Yes, I
right?
love that.
What's your gift?
Yes, I love the focus on the doing because I think I was having a conversation, and we were talking. Everybody talks about entrepreneurship with
Mhm.
this reverence until you become an entrepreneur, and then you realize that sometimes you drink your tears. You just literally cry in a cup, drink your tears, and start over because what you think is this revolutionary um place that accolades are always flying and you're alone a lot of the time because you're trying to learn how to articulate your thoughts to multiple communities in multiple languages at the same time, and you're selling yourself in a very different way, but you're also at the same time trying to prove to yourself that you can do all of these things and hit these markers that are invisible. The markers don't really exist. If you're accomplishing something every day, you're actually moving so much faster than thinking about the accomplishment that you should have had, because you're not going to win any awards with your thoughts if they never get out. It's just
Here you
and
go.
I, and that part of entrepreneurship, like you said, just having that thing in your mind where you're like, okay, so I failed today, but what did I learn from that? And how can I take that lesson and move it tomorrow so that I can do better?
Yes. Yes. It's interesting. You just made me think of a visual that I use a lot. Um, and I'm a very visual person, right? I come from that kind of a creative background, but for me, I just see the piles of like detritus that's been left behind, right? Like, oh God, look what I did all that. And now there's that. No, but now I have that to stand on top of,
Mm,
right? It's just more knowledge. And just like we look at standing on top of those who came before us and then being able to lift the next one up, you can't lift them up unless you see what you're going to be showing them, right? So, like, okay, you failed, put it on top, get on it,
mm,
learn from it, look how much higher you are now, right?
mm,
It's all information to raise us up. And when those moments happen, I feel like we cannot just breathe better, right? Which is a big piece of every moment, but
mm.
breathe better, but also have a better vantage point to stay curious about. And for me, if I'm not curious, I don't like, why am I here?
I so agree with you. I was recording a little bit before we started, and one of my thoughts was everything that I do that brings me happiness and brings me satisfaction and that makes me feel validated as a person, for me, has a bit of fear attached to it,
Oh yeah.
because the fear is what lets me know that I care about it. When
Mhm.
I'm not scared, when I can blow through it, I don't even think about it. I don't even acknowledge it. And that's not always the best because I am big on celebrating every milestone, like little ones. If you were able to eat ice cream today and you know that the ice cream is going to attack you tomorrow, but you're celebrating today, do it. But just know that tomorrow you're going to pay. But
Yes.
I'm really big on celebrating every moment because I think in our lifetime, we forget to celebrate and we forget to grieve. Those two things are so important. It's a balance. I see your eyes. What do you have to say? Your eyes.
You just said, I know, they pop right out, right? It's like Jim Carrey face, I can't help it. That the grieving piece is
Mm,
so equally important, and I don't think we talk about this enough. I work at this place, the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center, every summer. I've been going there for a very long time, and I'm the artistic producer of the National Puppetry Conference, as all coaches are, totally normal. So I have this job, I love it. I coach the hell out of people there, right? That's part of why I'm there, excuse the
mhm.
French. Um, and my boss and I joke, and it's not funny. We recognize that, but we do death because our community is never going to get older. No community is, right? So we're always honoring those who came before us and making sure to speak their names because there's such a niche little place in history, right? And
Mhm.
not everybody's in the book, or not everyone knows there is a book, or, like that kind of stuff. And so we're always talking about these people. And every year somebody says to us, "Oh my God, you guys talk about all these dead people." Yes. Yes. Because they made mistakes so that you could be standing here right now. I made mistakes so that you could be standing here right now, right? I want you to go make mistakes so that the person we haven't even thought of yet can be standing here talking about all of us when we're gone. And I don't care if you say me by name, right? That's not important to me, but it is important to me to acknowledge those who built me, right? That's really important to me, including those things that you heard about them. Like, yeah, they were a whole person,
Yes. Yeah.
whole person. So to be grieving, it's grieving all the things, right?
Mhm.
It's such a full body experience, and when we try to make it not, it will come and get you just like that celebration ice cream.
And it's scary that celebration ice cream would take you out. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think I was having a conversation before, and I said at 37 is when it flipped for me. I actually went through a nervous breakdown, could not get my life together. I don't care how many times you turn that key to start that car, it was not going to happen.
Mhm, mhm.
And I had to really just I had to hit rock bottom. I just had to hit rock bottom because I needed to grieve the loss of all of these things that were happening. And I think it was probably the first time in my life that I became friends with grief, and not friends in the way you think. Like, I had to learn how to properly grieve so that I could move forth. I had to grieve the body that I thought I was going to have. I had to grieve the job that I thought I was going to have. I had to grieve the friendship, the relationships, the me that I thought that I was not. But when you do that, when you every day, when you say, man, that didn't go right, and you give yourself a moment to feel that emotion, the next time that thing starts to happen, you'll recognize it so much faster. It won't catch up on you so fast, but you'll be able to grab that emotion and say, hey, what lesson am I going to learn from this? This doesn't feed me. This doesn't clothe me. This isn't doing me well. What am I going to do to make this journey less hurtful? But when you never grieve, when the grieving hits you, it knocks your wig off. And I don't know anybody else who knows about a wig being knocked off. It's a very uncomfortable thing to watch.
Fair,
Visual, visuals,
fair.
the whole thing. And it really just it changes the way you see yourself when you allow yourself to grieve. It brings more joy into your life because you can find joy when you're grieving. That
Mm.
happiness that you're looking for, not always, but that joy in the sun rising, the joy that you wake up the next day, the joy that you got to speak to someone about how you were feeling. Those moments in grieving that give you perspective. And I love that part of like the mindset and how you can change the way you see the world.
Yes. Yes. You just said, I don't know why this is coming to mind, but in one of the many Sex and the City movie shows, I don't even know what it was. There's a quote where they're all sitting around having a conversation, and one of them says to Charlotte, I can't believe the name just came to me, but they said to her, do you feel happy in your marriage every day? And she said, every day? Yeah. And they all looked at her and she goes, not all day, every day, but every day. And I was like, I loved that perspective for anything. I think about it frequently where somebody will say something and I'm like, I'm not happy now, but I know in 20 minutes when you leave the room, I'm probably gonna be really happy. And that's not me not liking you. It's me being done with this.
Yes. Yes.
Done with
Let's put a
this.
period in the end of this.
See you later. And next time we're gonna have fun. I'm gonna have fun in about 20 minutes when you okay, good. And that is not mean. It's
No.
we sound mean, we judge it, we feel like I should be no, this is where I am. It's all right. It's all right. And I think telling ourselves that, right? So many people you see like, doing these motions and all of that, just like keeping themselves, reminding themselves that they're all right. I wish that more people just walk down the street like that. Rub
Yes.
your chest, talk to yourself. I don't care what you do. You're the silly dance person, do the silly dance. Like if we all just soothed ourselves more,
Mhm.
right? and said, it's okay, it's just a moment, we would all get to see each other bounce back in whatever way that is, and it would be fine. But we don't do that, right? That's not what the society is like. This
And
is
that's the big part. It's like I always think to myself, being invested in, I come from a legal background, and then I focused on mental health. And you can see how those dualities don't always play together. They really don't.
right. But
But
what if it had?
you just think to yourself, sometimes you're like, I'm gonna meditate right now. No, no more talking. No more talking. One more meeting. If I get one more Teams request, I'm snapping out. But I think what it did was, when you see people on the street being human, sometimes when you see somebody is stopping, like they look around and you can tell, like, really they're having a moment, but they're trying to figure out how to mask that feeling that's happening, versus the person who just like screams like fuck it, and you're like, and everybody stops. But I'm like, do you realize how healthy that person feels right
I know,
now?
you want to like high five them. Yeah.
But you realize that maybe not the time to like,
No, no.
because
No.
but I'm just saying, like, that what makes us afraid when we watch people be human is the thing that helps relax us most of the time. I used to go drive. When I would be in the midst of I'm about to say some things to a lot of people and I'm overwhelmed, I would drive to Target. I don't know why Target was my place. It didn't matter which Target it was. I would drive my car to the very end of their parking lot, turn my music up loud, and just scream at the top of my lungs. I mean, that scream that, like, if anybody, and then I would stop and be crying and have the cry laugh, because now you're like, oh, anybody who recorded that, you're the lady on the internet. But it made me feel so human, because I got to get some of these emotions. It's like when you dance or when you put your feet in the grass, just something that connects you with being alive, that made me feel just like, okay, I can focus. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were primal,
Yes. And
right?
I
And
love it.
yeah, when we're primal, we get honest, right? Like when we just send, like you said, like sending your energy into the grass or into the ground. When we do that, right, we're vibrating beings. Like there's science behind this, right? It's important to do that. When you see the person screaming in the parking lot, I want to cheer them on, but I know that's not the moment. I'm good. I don't need to get shot. I'm all set, right? But get it out, get it
Yeah.
out, or my mom always tells this story about being in a, I think she was leaving the grocery store. I've seen her do it in the grocery store, but she was leaving a grocery store and she saw this woman, and she was like in suburbia, right? Everybody has cars. And I say that because I'm in the city and I walk with my groceries. But so there was a mom in the car, putting the kid in the car, the groceries was there, and she's screaming at the child and just starts smacking him. And my
Mm.
mother went over and said, do you need me to stand here with your child for a moment while you take a walk? And the woman lost it on my mother. And my mother said, I'll take that as a yes.
But think about I giggle because I think to myself, your mother saw the humanity in that woman. She's like, hey, you're slipping, and I'm not right now, because I could be you. I literally could be you, but I see you, I hear you, and I want you to disconnect from this emotion that's attacking you right now.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing, because you think to yourself, the child now is looking at your mom, the stranger, and like, hey, I know when she screams, that's normal to me, but your calm is freaking me out right now. The mom's like, I don't know who you are. I'm already overwhelmed. Where am I walking to? But your mom is, but the amount of strength that it takes to create a space in the midst of chaos is, it's godlike, because it gives you that moment where you're like, hey, I'm willing to secure myself, anchor myself in your space, so that you find who you are right now. And you're probably not even mad at this child. This child has nothing to do with what you're screaming about. Like, not at all.
Exactly. 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 And she said to me, because I was like, what happened? She said the woman, she moved back because she said the woman was like, "You're not coming near my child," like that whole story. And she was like, "I didn't want to touch your child. I'm good." And she's like, "I didn't plan on getting any closer. Just making sure the kid doesn't crawl out of the car. Like if you need me to do that." And she said she stepped back and she stood at the corner of the vehicles, and the woman just started putting her groceries in her car, slammed it down, called her some names, closed the kid's door, and left. And my mom's like, "I don't care. That child stopped getting smacked." And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
"I really thought she was going to injure that child." And I thought, no. And I can think back to several times in a grocery store where some kid was going wild, and my mom would say to the parent, "Do you need anything?" Just to give them a second. She's like, "I just wanted to break it because you're this child will always think that this is how you behave in public, that
Yep.
it's okay to hit a child, that when you're in this environment, like there's so much wrong going on." And she wanted me to see, no, we're not going to be bystanders to
Yeah.
people breaking.
Yeah.
It's okay to say you're having a moment. We all do.
Yes. And I will say it's very interesting because when every person has been at the height of their I can't take it anymore, right? But the amount of times I've seen moments where the child had to take the energy of the parent, negative or positive,
Yeah.
and eat that.
Yeah.
Because, I always think to myself, I'm like, when we see puppies running around, we see kittens running around, they get the zoomies. The assumption that little kids don't have the zoomies is that literally their bodies are recreating and creating cells at the level of our brains can't even comprehend it as an adult, because up until they turn, well, we have 6 or 7, all the formative years that they have in there, then their memories from 7 to 11, that's really just them reinforcing what they learned as little children. And if you are stuck in a space where abuse, screaming, hollering, domestic violence,
Mhm.
consistently being put down, what kind of teenager do you think you're gonna have, right? You're either gonna have a meek person who
Mhm.
accepts the abuse from others, or you're
Mhm.
gonna have this rebellious child who you can't even tell, no, that's dangerous, because they're gonna put their finger in the socket. And it's just to prove you wrong. Because
Mhm.
who are you to tell me? If my parent didn't love me, how can you love me? I don't even love me because I don't know what that looks like,
I don't know what it looks like.
you know? And I
Mhm.
always think about that because when you see, like, I see little kids running around and a parent will turn around and be like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, sweetheart, I had 3 by the time I was 26. I didn't even hear the noise anymore. I just turned my head. Just if you can just keep running until you're tired. So when I put you in this car, it shuts your brain, run into your heart's desire, Cocoa Puffs, whatever we have to do to get through this day.
Yes.
But I think that your mom, even because it takes a lot of courage to decide, I'm going to step into this space, because we don't know where people are in their day,
Mm-mm.
you know? And in her mindset is, if I can stop the abuse for 5 minutes, it's a 5 minute reprieve for this person, this child,
Mhm.
this energy. And
Mhm.
sometimes that's all it takes. You can disperse that energy that they have, they lose it because they're like, now they think that I'm crazy when you were but the kid's like,
Right.
and I agree with you, like, having that. But I wish that people understood that when they turn around and start cursing you out, like, I'm not telling you how to parent your child. I'm actually doing this for you, because you are the bigger picture. You are the example.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think that this same thing really, I knew I was going to like you. This same thing relates across so many places in our lives, right? Why why do we need to call out and highlight, oh, they're a disruptor? You damn straight they are, right? Like
Mhm.
there are times where that's like, all right, can we just get through this? And then we want to hear what you have to say, right? I, as a leader, for me, I'm very aware of like, who's the maverick? Because they need a place to kick. No
Mm,
matter what you do, they're going to run hard, they're going to perform well, but they need a place to kick. So if you can give them the place to kick, they're not going to be the disruptor, right? The person who actually is there to serve as the disruptor can do that without getting kicked, right? Like, how are we all playing in the same place? Because we're all so different and we all need places. The person who needs to like shine, 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 right? For
yes.
me, when I was leading teams, I would take that person for a walk prior to a meeting and say, this meeting is coming up. I just want to run a couple things by you. Make sure I'm on point. They would then give me their say. I would give the meeting I'm going to give. Sometimes they did move something. And I'm like, oh, okay, we will take that to the group and I will credit them. But other times they just have the place to shine. And when we're with the group, the whole group isn't like, why is this person still going?
The meeting
Right?
ended 5 minutes ago. Why do you have another question?
Right. Why are you holding a light on yourself? We're done. Like they just need to be seen. So give them a place to be seen with you, with someone else, right? But let's all acknowledge who people are because then we all rise. It's easier said than done, right? And we
Absolutely.
can't always do it. But if we say, I'm going to give that person who I know is in hell a 20-minute warning, we're going into this. These are going to be 3 things that come up. If you need to step out, let me know. Or do you need anything now? Right? Give them the moment. Don't give them coffee, right? In that moment. Right? We're having a water meeting. Anybody want more water? Like, what do you need to do to best support the people around you? I think that same lesson with the woman to me has been something I could apply everywhere. I spent many, many years of my life. I had a very ill parent, and a hospital is a pressure cooker, right? And they do their best not to make it that, but that is what it is. And
Yes.
so I would become very aware, like, that person can do that, that person from a very young age, because I would see how does it set off my parent? What's the chain of events? How do I
Mm,
not feel good? Like,
yeah.
I don't feel good in this. Like my stomach hurts. I haven't getting a headache. I don't even get headaches. Why do I feel like this? Right? Like some things where my jaw's clenched. You could find the signals for yourself and the people around you and affect the change there once you understand how
Mm,
the what's that pinball, how the pinball gets played here,
I
right?
love
The
that.
goal for me is always to protect that person, right, who's in the hospital. That's what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I care about everybody. I don't want anybody to get hurt. But my goal, right, is that. So how are we all going to accomplish my goal? I hope you
Yeah.
do too. Good luck. Go team. I'm going to do this, right? And
This
when
is
you
my space.
this is my space, and if we can all take these things home safely, yes. But if I go first, whoops a daisy, like I would really just try to play the game and learn the people. And I do think that um, most of us have lived in some sort of heightened place in our lives.
Yes.
And few people want to say that. They know it. They'll
Mm.
say it wasn't easy.
It
Oh my
wasn't
God.
that bad. It really
Oh my,
wasn't that bad. It
it
was
wasn't that
normal.
bad.
That's how everybody grew up.
Right. No, every single person, every single one is different,
Yes.
right? You and your sibling. If you had 2 twins in the same house, they had 2 very different experiences, they had 2 very different parents, they had 2 very nobody's had the same experience. So how do we honor that, but
Hmm.
take care of ourselves so that we're playing well,
I love
right?
that.
I
Yes.
gave myself a pep talk today about how I'm my MVP. Right? Here I am like, how can I and what can I? And I was choosing my words carefully. I was definitely like, I'm Olympic inspired right now, not gonna lie, who isn't? But I was thinking about this next thing that I'm moving into, and I'm super stoked. But I was like, have I trained enough? I was like
Mm.
asking myself all these questions, but like go with grace here, right? Like, yes, you need to do all that, but you also like, and then there's a point where you're like, just go, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the big game. It doesn't, but you got to just go. And I'm definitely in the just go moment, 100%. But I found somebody to play with. I was like, can you be my trainer? another coach. I was like, can you be my trainer? And he's like, you don't need me. Would I have called you if I didn't need you? It's like, oh, you need me.
Yes. Yeah. Would I have asked you the question
No,
if I didn't need the answer?
no, I appreciate that you don't want to be a whoopee. I 100% appreciate that. I frequently will say to clients like, oh, I think we know this. And if you want to refresh, we can, but why don't we just let you go do it and come back when you have an experience to discuss, right? Like, go give it a whirl. I was in the place where I was like, I feel like I'm in the gym. I know all the things, but like, I want to try this new thing. I know it's going to work. I know it's it, right? I believe in it, but I need you there to be like, you did this wrong. Here's the thing. Cause I can't see it for myself. I can't see it, right? I'm too deep in it. And so I was giving myself the like, you are the MVP, 100%. Where's the team? Where's the team?
You can come back. But you think about that, right? You get LeBron James, considered one of the best basketball players ever, has a coach, right? He's not running, coaching himself, looking at videos of himself, telling himself where he needs to go and where he needs to be. He also understands that my coach can see the bigger picture. They can see me from the outside. They can see if I'm pivoting on this foot or this foot, and am I favoring which leg? What does my hip look like? The little nuances of who you are. Also, most of us try to pick people who see us in like 3D or 4D. You see all these little teeny things about us that we don't get to see ourselves, because if you leave it up, our ego will tell us that we are the bestest as ever, the most,
or the opposite.
or the other side. But most of the time, it's like if you're thinking about taking a jumping,
Oh yeah.
you've
Yeah,
already said, I'm the bestest they're ever going to see in their life.
watch me
Okay.
now.
I'm Angelica Pickles. I'm gonna make sure you're gonna get it. But truly, most of us are Tommy, or Chucky. We're like, I don't know about this. We're trying to like really work it out, because that coach or your best friend, the person who can be very objective and who you can accept the harshness from because it comes in love, those are the people who like really help elevate you. They're the people who bring something out of you that's a little bit different. And I want to go back to something you said that was so important: creating safe spaces for people, creating this like pocket where you let them just rip it, go. Right? Because at the end of the day, I still have an agenda, but I have this moment for you to be you, because I understand that in order for us to get this thing accomplished, the energy that you need to get out, I have to acknowledge it. I have to say, I see you. You need more people to affirm what you have to offer, so that when we get into this space that's a little bit closed in, you don't feel like you're going to pop up out of here. And I love that, because when people hear safe spaces, they're like, well, you're not protecting a person. You're padding the wall so they can rip and run. Let the words out, get the energy out. And then when they turn around, they look at you and go, did you see me? I saw you. Okay. And that's usually it. It's like nothing else. I'm sure when you are coaching and when you are in the theater, you've ran into people who just needed you to see them do what they considered their best and validate that they could get to that space. But that's it. That's all.
It's funny. I am working on, again, learning to be the person who says, can you just watch me? Right? Like, I'm doing this thing, it doesn't feel right. I'm a puppeteer, right? So I look in the mirror, but we call it being mirror bound, right? Now I need the mirror. So you close the curtains. Okay. It feel like it's in my body, but is it? Do you believe it? Am I nailing it? Where are we? And something you just said made me think of the show that I'm working on right now, that I'm in. It's done. And touring, yay. Is called Annika's Elephants. And it is a beautiful show. And we just finished on Broadway. And it's like, it's so exciting, right? And hey, thanks, I'll take it. And so the cast was saying to me, like, how are you coaching here? I'm like, we're not here all day, right? but everything you do, I use when I coach, right? Like I watch them do stuff and I'm like, that was interesting. And then I'll be in a corporate setting. I'm like, nothing you can say to me is weird. I just came from this. And they're like, right now people tell me anything, right? But what it made me think of was I, in this play, the play starts with the girl saying, I am an elephant. And we watch this elephant become, right? And it's a beautiful moment. And then when the play ends, all the same cast who were pieces of an elephant are now these big elephants. And
Mhm.
she says, because I am an elephant, right? She's proven her point. But now there's all these big elephants on stage. And the last day of rehearsal, before we went to Broadway, I don't know why, I said, me too. And the whole cast just lost it. And I said, wait a minute. No, because I knew it was the last time we'd be able to joke before
Yeah.
there's an audience there, right?
Yeah.
So I said, which was stupid. I should have done it like 5 rehearsals before, because now the first time we have an audience, everybody's like,
Don't say it. Don't
don't,
say
don't laugh, don't shake, everything's fine, it's fine. They were like, oh, when we left the stage. But I said, no one else was thinking that. No one else was thinking that. And they were like, no. And now I can't stop thinking it. And I said, because I'm a coach, I was like, well, that'll teach you all to say what you're thinking. Make sure to get it out there. It might serve the room, because we were all getting to that last moment. Like, we did it. Okay. We're going to be okay. We weren't like, woohoo. We were like,
Yeah.
okay, now we
The
load in, right?
anticipation. Yeah.
Yeah. Something got precious. And for
Yeah.
some reason, my face was like, no, it's not. And I just like let it out. And afterwards, I really did walk away with, Jean Marie, relax yourself. You need to relax yourself more. You're tighter than you know, right? You're stopping the flow. And just today, when I was becoming the MVP of the team that I forgot to call, I I wrote the letters to the team. Like, hey, I'm doing these things. Can we please check in? And what are you doing? Of course, I want to serve back, but one of them said, oh my God, how uptight is this email? Because it was like 3 sentences. And I was like, it's so much worse if you're on my side. And they were like, great, Thursday at this time. Now I can breathe.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
team is coming. You're fine. Everything's fine. In the end, you're the one who delivered, but not because of you, because of all of it. All of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the moment in the parking lot, the moment on the right, it all is a piece of it. And I think sometimes we all forget, and we need to find ways to remind ourselves. Me, you said it earlier, and I was like, oh, I usually say, oh, look at you being so human. My God, you're so human. And I used to say that's so cute. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to minimize this important thing. It's so
No, cats are
human of
cute.
me.
You're
I am
human.
rocking my humanity. And sometimes I'm rocking it and I shouldn't be doing it in front of people. But oh, well, it happened. Look at it happened,
It
right?
fell out. My humanity fell out, Mom.
There it is. You said something about not knowing your body, or not having the body you expected.
Yeah.
Years ago, I had a very serious injury. That really is what sent me in this direction. And I had to relearn to walk. And there's these homeless guys in the park. Fine. Great. Here we all are. And I'm doing my exercises, crying.
Mm.
I didn't remember I did that. I think I felt like I was crying, but I didn't even know it, because I was like, I'm going up those stairs. I'm going up those stairs. How am I going to get down? I don't know. Right? Like maybe on my butt, which has happened. Right? But I'm going again. Like, here we go. And then I'd be like, I have to take a nap on a park bench now. I'm too
Because I'm
tired.
tired. Yeah.
But he's sleeping. No one's mugging him. Like, I would literally, like, it's okay. This is the park for all of us. I would text a friend, I'm taking a nap in the park, walk through shortly, right? Like, just make
But I
sure
love that, having that community where you could be like, listen.
I'm about to do something really dumb, but I got to. So, like,
Yeah.
help me, right? And months later, I was hanging out with some friends, and this man walks into a restaurant. Long story short, it's a great story too. This man says, no, I know her. And they're all like, you do not know her. And he looks at somebody else. And I was sitting with a friend who was famous, and he
Mm.
needed something signed. And I said jokingly, does anyone have a Sharpie? And all these people like,
Pull it out. Yes, we
I
do.
was, I was like, it was a joke. And he goes, yeah, it's definitely her. Because when I laugh, I cry a little.
Oh.
And he goes, she cries when she climbs stairs. And I was like,
You know me. Like,
"Yes,
you know me.
you know me." And I was like, "How do we know each other?" And he said, "I live in the park." And I said, "Oh, I live down the block too." And he said, "No, I live in the park." And then I realized, oh no, this is the homeless guy who was sleeping on the park bench, but I didn't get to see his face. But all those months,
He
he
watched
was
you progress.
watching me. Yes. So I started bringing him food, right? Like, "Hey man, how you doing?" Like we became buds because he was keeping me safe all along, right? Like you never know. You just keep getting up and just keep going. It's amazing where you'll land and the people you'll meet. I did not expect to meet that man. And just recently, spoiler alert for everybody, he just got a home. I'm so happy for him. I saw this announcement about local housing and I was like, oh, that's my boy Alfredo. What's up? I was so excited. Like, just everybody, if we're kinder to each other and we make space for each other, but we also make space for our own humanity,
Mm-hmm.
how different does everything become? And I know I sound hippy dippy, but I'm cool with that. Like, yeah, I
I'm
don't
with
care.
you.
Believe in whatever it is you need to believe in to keep going. As long as it's based in kindness and that you can give it to yourself, you're going to try new things, do new things you haven't even dreamt yet.
I love that. And one, I wish we could hear the story. I know we got time, but
Yeah. Yeah. It's
that's,
good.
that's just great. But I love that whenever I talk about humanity, yes, people always go, it sound hippie. I'm like, why does being human sound hippie? Why? What it shouldn't be that way. You should not sound like a robot. I should not be able to talk about you like model 10105. Like that shouldn't be the way it comes out.
Yeah.
But I think that when you are most of the time when we're at our lowest and we allow that to shine and you still find kindness at your low point, the
Yes.
people that you meet there
Yes.
are some of the most genuine people. They see you in a light that other people don't get to see because we spend so much time having to mask and
Yes.
whatever. If you're going into corporate America, if you decide you want to, you're going to the PTA, you're walking in and you need to meet with these execs, it's a certain look that they're going for sometimes. And then other days you just show up as yourself and you're like, good luck to that. Like you're just gonna have to deal with it. But I think when you meet people when you're the purest version, you're the most human version of yourself, those are the people who they cheer you on because your glow up looks so different than the standard. Oh, I got this new job. And when I interviewed, I had on this particular suit and they're like, no, I saw you crying and I got to see you not crying.
Yes.
And that's a win.
Yes. What I just heard you describe is that vibrational awareness,
Yes.
right? When we meet each other, everything that you just said about the various places in life, we can be vibrationally aligned there. We can.
Mhm.
It does take a different moment of work, a different training. And I think that's where, like, I don't always love saying that I'm a coach because I feel like, that word doesn't hit for everybody. Like, I pay attention to who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
And sometimes what we're coaching is this, but sometimes we are literally retraining our vibrations, right?
Mhm.
And figuring out where do they need to be here for me to deliver at the highest. Right.
So before we tap out,
Yes.
where can people find you?
Yes.
Website, handles, all the things.
Yeah, clearly the park in Brooklyn, but also everybody does apparently. You can find me at jeanmariekeevins.com. And I hang out on Instagram and sometimes LinkedIn, but yeah, that's where I am.
She said, and sometimes at the park. But right
Sometimes
now I
park.
can't
I mean,
because
frequently. Frequently. They have Wi-Fi. We're good.
look, anywhere with Wi-Fi that's not going to attack my phone, we can talk about.
There's
If
that.
you're gonna drop a virus or any of your drop a picture on my phone, don't do it, please. I'm the lady who will stand up and be like, who does this belong to?
Yeah. Who raised you?
No, who does
Yeah.
this belong to? Because I'm gonna point you, we're gonna do a live right now. This guy just dropped a picture on my phone. Violation.
I with the same group of friends I was talking about before with their Sharpies, I one day said, "Oh my God, someone just sent me this text." I had been on a date like 3 days, but why did I show this? Like, it was a co-writer of mine. Why did I show this to him? But we're like brother and sister, right? I show it to him and he goes, "Well, that is specific." And we laughed so hard because something you often say in the theater business, sometimes film and stuff, we talk about specificity. So when he said it, I'm like, you can't say that word now in rehearsal because the minute he says it, I'm going to laugh. But, you know, let's all just be kinder humans and not share everything.
Some TMIs are really like it's for real. Like the TMI, it's a capital, italic, bold, 24 font TMI, and we don't want that
Yes,
at all.
yes. This interview took a turn.
No, but I appreciate you being here. I love your humanity, and I love how you really are focusing on the inside of a person,
Mm,
because I think that that's sometimes what we miss is the inside of the person. Because no matter how fancy you look on the outside, if your inside is broken, it's going to continue to crack. And those things that make you who you are, that bring likeness and kindness to you, are the things that make you a great exec. It's what makes you a great entrepreneur. It's what makes you a great person. And that's what we want to learn to focus on, especially when you're watching a coach. When someone's coaching you, they want to see the humanity in you so they know how to help you best achieve your goals.
yes. Two of my favorite authors when it comes to coaching and creativity and ingenuity, systems, all of it, are Phil Jackson, and the other one just went right out of my head, the coach of the Green Bay Packers. What was his name? God, Vince Lombardi. Those coaches just they listened to the person
Mm,
and they could build the team. We all knew what the goal is. How are we getting there? Gotta listen and be present.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I enjoyed this so much.
Me too. Me
Got
too.
some really good gems. I need to make some t-shirts because you dropped a couple lines that I was like, oh, t-shirt worthy. You have a wonderful night, and your the next level you're going to. You got this. You got it.
Oh, I'm stoked. I'm stoked. I'm gonna be in touch with you next time I'm in your area. We were just there last summer, and I'm hoping to be again next summer. So maybe we can
Hook.
connect and do some programming or something together.
I would love that. That would be so wonderful. Thank you so much. You be good tonight.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, guys. That was so good. I felt like I connected with like a kindred spirit, right? And I loved her approach to life, right? You're gonna fail. We're all gonna fail. And that failure is lessons, right? We're gonna learn how to become these stronger, more synchronized people. We're gonna learn how to figure out how to not only look at life as half full, but to find joy in it, to find kindness in it, to find gratitude in it. And I could not agree with Jean Marie more. Plus, she is just a hoot to talk to. I feel like we could sit at the table, have a couple glasses of wine, and really cackle a little too much. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the podcast. Please like, subscribe, send the pigeons, darling. We answering questions if you want us to. We could not do this without you, and we really want to grow the community so much. Please remember that learning how to articulate your feelings, wants, needs, and desires is the best way to advocate for yourself and the people that you love. Be good to you outside. Peace. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you found some healing, connection, and joy. Until next time, bye, loves.